It's cool, it's overcast, and it's foggy on opening day here in Cleveland. Hello again, everyone. I'm Harry Doyle, along with my good friend and partner, Monty, what's-his-name, giving a big wahoo welcome to all the Cleveland faithful. It's a brand new season and a new team spirit, as novice owner Roger Dorn has made two very savvy front office moves, acquiring free agent slugger Jack Parkman and announcing his own retirement, eliminating a huge hole at third base.
I don't know, not a great spring, 3-24.
Oh, so what? They had a bad spring. They did the same thing last year. The important thing is that Parkman and Hayes are killing the ball. Serrano, he's lying in the weeds.
Wait.
Bond, he's off to a slow start. But look out, they're going to erupt. They're going to bust loose.
Right.
Yeah, they're going to do it. They're going to bust loose.
They're a powder keg.
Juggernaut.
Okay.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 14 of the Pseudo Nerd Podcast for April 8th, 2016. I'm your podcast host, Josh Kiser, and joining me in the stadium today, Mr. Josh Haddix.
Hello, everybody.
And Mr. Kyle Hoagland.
I didn't know we were doing our podcast in a stadium. That's impressive.
That's how big we got.
That's really, we can't fit in an arena anymore, so we've had to move into a stadium.
Damn. Well, except for me, I'm still sitting here right next to my cat's litter box up in the old office.
You don't let your wife use the toilet?
Oh my God! I was literally. I had to. Man, Kiser,
Damn it! So now I'm gonna make my wife listen to this podcast, and she's gonna start laughing immediately. She always listens to this like kind of not when I'm around. She'll just listen to it for a little bit, and then she'll laugh at random times, and I'm always curious when she laughs.
Well, it's not that curious. It's when I'm making jokes. I mean, that's when everyone's laughing at this thing.
Yeah, it's like that. It's that inner monologue laughter at your life and existence when you do jokes.
Dude, you're not supposed to laugh at it. I didn't make that joke.
Laughing.
I'm 1 for 1 with jokes. I got a good chuckle from Haddix.
Everyone can get a chuckle from Haddix. The guy's literally giggling when we enter into the podcast.
That's because I never know what we're going to say. You said join it like in the stadium or whatever.
I thought you were going to call him out on that too. Like you just said, you're just like, guys.
I roll with the punches, man. You got to roll with the punches sometimes. You got to go with the host. That's why he's the host.
Sometimes you got to shit on the host when he fucks up.
Well, that doesn't happen very often here, so.
That's why you got to enjoy it and take it for what it is when it happens.
And if you're a fan out there and you want to shit on the host or laugh at my jokes, feel free to do that on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or any of those other places. And you can find all of that at the pseudonerdpod.com, where we pretty much have your one stop for all of that. So link us up, like it, tweet, yell, complain, whatever. Tell us how much you love that WrestleMania podcast. Or tell us how much you loved WrestleMania or hated WrestleMania, which before we get into today's actual podcast, where we're going to be talking baseball season, because it is opening day, opening week, we're gonna spend a few minutes and sort of recap our thoughts on WrestleMania, because I know we spent 4 weeks talking about wrestling, but WrestleMania is the biggest pay-per-view of the year, and we would kind of do a disservice to ourselves and our PNPers out there who enjoy the sport of wrestling without at least giving our opinion on it. So why don't you guys kind of give me your feelings on Sunday's big show?
And is that also so that it gives you time to finish up your sugar daddy or whatever the heck is still in your mouth?
Totally does, yes.
All right, awesome. Overall, it was good. It was good for different reasons. Like a lot of times, a lot of the good matches are like, like the main events and stuff like that. But the last couple of years, I feel like the main event is almost like the arbitrary kind of just. I think we kind of it's what you expect. I'm always looking forward to WrestleManias for like the matches where you hope they're good matches and then they end up just really doing a much better job than you thought. For example, the I guess now we would consider the women's championship match triple threat was great. It was so good that it really makes me look forward to that division, and it looks like they are officially moving away from the term diva as far as like the women's wrestling circuit there. So that's good. I think they're making that transition to being a little bit more serious about, you know, having women in the roster that are wrestlers first and not, you know, supermodels first who know how to do like 3 moves. But overall, I enjoyed everything. I also enjoyed that I felt that I feel like I could have predicted most of the matches, and I was very happy that I was wrong on a lot of them.
Speaking of predicting the matches, Haddix, why don't you go ahead and follow up with how well we did predict these matches?
If you include the, I guess what are those considered, the pre-WrestleMania matches or the matches that were on USA?
The kickoff show?
Yeah, the kickoff show. If you include those, which we did cover quickly on a WrestleMania podcast, you and I, Kiser and I should say, were 6-5 for our records. Hougie was 5-6. The big outliers that I think we missed on were Hougie did pick Shane to win the Hell in a Cell, which did not happen, and I can't remember the other one.
I missed the Ryback.
We missed.
And Kiser missed the New Day, or I mean, well, I guess
those were the only. I mean, obviously we also missed, 5 other matches or whatever, but those were the ones that kind of set us apart and made us 6-5 and 5-6 were those. But as far as the pay-per-view went, I feel like it lived up to what people thought it was going to be with the injuries and with the storylines that they kind of went into the pay-per-view with.
So when you say, but you say lived up to it, but not. It lived up to it in that people weren't expecting much. Lived up to it.
Yes, yeah. I don't think, again, because of a lot of injuries that happened to a lot of superstars and the matches that we knew were going to happen, on the card. I think it. I don't think anyone was blown away by it, and nor underwhelmed. Like it wasn't a horrible pay-per-view, but it wasn't, one of the great WrestleManias. I do agree with Hougie. I think that one of the most memorable matches was the women's championship match, and I think that's just because this WrestleMania in the future might be the turning point of that division. I'm hoping, and I think a lot of other people are hoping, that it becomes more of a serious thing. There was a post on Reddit about what are the chances that there's a Money in the Bank winner that's a woman who can cash in on the women's championship, kind of running with storylines like that. So
it's very interesting to see where it will go with that.
Yeah.
My biggest gripe, because I think the pay-per-view overall is very forgettable. Like, you ask me a year or two from now, like, oh, remember WrestleMania, 32? And I'll be like, no, not really. There's not those defining moments that you've seen in these other WrestleManias. People talk about having a WrestleMania moment, and there really wasn't that at this one. I mean, there was decent matches, there were some that were enjoyable, but all at the end of the day, like, there wasn't a lot of things that are going to stick out and be like that. There's no Hogan slamming Andre the Giant.
Yeah.
There's not the Rock and Hogan facing off.
Let me bring this up. You guys weigh in on this, because as you guys know, and as some other people listening may know, I'm a huge Rock fan, right? And I feel like these days, the 2 biggest moments of WrestleMania was, or at least their 2 biggest planned moments were supposed to be The Rock, and then when Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels and Mick Foley came out, and like teamed up against the League of Nations or whatever.
Nice work on silencing your cell phones over there.
I know.
Fucking amateur podcast over here.
Good old ESPN, dude.
I'm over here trying to slowly ease down my can of like Coke that I have, just so I don't make it like a vibration. Like, all right, gotta stay professional here. And then as I'm doing that, then I hear na 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 na.
It was a breaking story for a baseball podcast. That's why I had it on. It's the only thing that's on right now.
Oh, this guy's got his ear to the ground.
We have Peter Gammons over here.
Fucking Buster Olney.
Anyway, back to it before we change subjects. I feel like they're trying to create WrestleMania moments for people that aren't wrestling right now. What do you guys think about
Right.
that?
Well, no, I agree with that. They live in the past with the Attitude Era. And don't get me wrong, I love seeing those guys come out and have their moments. But they're taking it away at the everybody else's expense. And they're just not giving these. That title match with Triple H and Roman Reigns is as forgettable as they come. Like there's just nothing about it that you will ever remember, and it's like supposed to be Roman Reigns' big moment. You know, those when Shawn Michaels won the title, and it was like the boyhood dream came true. When Daniel Bryan won it, and he's standing in the ring with the whole crowd going nuts. He's holding up both titles. Like those are memorable moments. The Hell in a Cell, or not the Hell in a Cell, the HBK Undertaker fight. Undertaker streak getting broken. Like there are moments that will always stick out in your mind that you'll always remember from past WrestleManias. They're just like, oh my god, like those are those moments. And you're not gonna have. It's not Roman winning the title. There's nothing. That whole match was forgettable. It was fine. It wasn't a terrible match, but it was fine. But it's forgettable. The Hell in a Cell match with Taker, we weren't expecting it to be amazing, but I thought it was fine. Like, I thought it was better than it could have been. Shane jumping off the top of the cell was cool, but the women's match was definitely will probably be the thing most remembered from this pay-per-view, and while the match itself was solid, it's going to be more remembered because it's the first time they really let women shine on a major pay-per-view.
Yes.
But outside of that, the rest, there's just not a lot of moments that are just going to, this defines WrestleMania, this defines the WWE. Like, that's where my disappointment is.
I think there's only one match I think that they really missed the mark on. I think everything else kind of went as expected, maybe a little bit of a surprise. I don't think any of us imagined Jericho to take a win over AJ Styles just because he's always been the consummate professional to put the guy over. But I feel like there was so much potential with the Brock Lesnar-Dean Ambrose match. And not saying it was a bad match, but that definitely could have been a more memorable match as far as like emotions and really playing into Dean Ambrose's character. And it just ended up being just a good match, and then that's it. Like it's one of those matches where I feel like it's over. Like there's no that was the end of it.
This whole card could have literally been a Payback, a No Mercy, insert other generic wrestling pay-per-views, and it would have been like, oh, that's a solid card for them. It just, to me, does not feel like a WrestleMania-type card with WrestleMania-type moments to it.
No, I agree.
I wonder if they're going to do anything with Corbin. Was he on? I've only watched a little bit of Raw. Was Corbin even on Raw?
Yeah, he was on there. He beat Ziggler in a match, so they're doing something with him. Yeah. But overall, anything else you guys want to talk about with this before we move on to the actual topic today?
No, I think we touched on it. It wasn't any of our favorites, and hopefully we go up from here.
What was the crowd like? I said I only saw a little bit of it. I know, Kiser, you watched it. What was the crowd like on Raw? Was it pretty tame? Because usually, that's usually one of the more animated crowds.
No, they were definitely they're definitely animated. The thing that it's almost now becoming too much of a thing for that post WrestleMania crowd.
It's getting kind of taboo at this point.
Yeah, it's getting and like even Jericho came out there at one point when they were doing something where they're trying, the crowd's like just trying to get themselves over, and Jericho's like, you will not hijack this show, and he hates the crowd. He'll go on his own rants on his podcast about it, but he hates those crowds. He's like, you guys are not awesome. We are awesome in the ring. We're the ones doing this. You guys need to get over yourselves. So there are some of that moments where like they're funny, and then other moments it's like, all right, like shut up and like just let the people do what they're supposed to be doing, show a little bit of respect to the biz.
I thought you were going to say the Miz. our new Intercontinental Champion. Woo woo woo. Yeah. God damn it. God damn it. Damn it.
Well, you could see Hoagie's frustration.
Dude, I love Zack Ryder, like in a homo way. No, I'm just joking. No, I like Zack Ryder. I'm so mad that he was a champ for one damn day.
Well, Hoagie, we know you're excited for Zack Ryder, but are you excited for baseball? Are you excited for the baseball season?
We'll go with it. Yes.
How about you, Haddix? Are you ready for baseball?
My excitement for baseball season, and I think it might be similar for a lot of other people, is it's the beginning of good weather. Unless you live in Cleveland, but
it's fucking snowing right now. All right.
Yes, but when you think of going to baseball games, and you get this a little bit in the beginning of football season, but really when you think of football, you think of like cold. Again, maybe that's because we're from Ohio, but baseball's like summertime. Going to baseball games, it's hot outside.
It's like it's a cold beer.
Like
you're sitting out in the sun. You're eating a hot dog.
Yeah,
enjoying the atmosphere.
That's what you think of. So I mean, I'm not a huge baseball fan. Like I don't follow every team. I don't watch, random games. I don't even catch all the Indians games even. But I do enjoy going to a baseball game. And that's one of my favorite parts about the baseball season is it issues in the better weather.
Yeah, my favorite thing about baseball is that there's so many games. Especially just home games. If you're saying it's like half the games are home. I used to work when I was living in Cleveland. I worked downtown, so it would just be one of those things where when I got to work at 6:00, a bunch of us at work would just be like, "Hey, let's go walk downtown and just go to the Indians game," and we'd pay like, $20 if that, and just get like the most expensive or no, the least expensive bleacher seat. And then just go stand at the home run porch and just drink a bunch of beer and just heckle the left fielder. Like to me, like being outdoors, it's a lot. It's fun for just hangout purposes. You don't really have to like pay attention to the game itself all the time. So it definitely it's great to do it with a lot of friends, where it kind of becomes more of a social thing. And then obviously if the game's close towards the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th inning, then yeah, you want to pay a little more attention to it, but. It's definitely a good excuse to drink and outside in the evening downtown.
Yeah, no, I agree. My biggest gripe with the baseball season is two things. One, I think it's too long. I don't think it needs to be 162 games a year. Just like I don't think basketball needs to be like 82 games a year. But on top of that, I think it starts way too early. I think it's a month early to start. I think they should let basketball kind of finish its regular season, go into the postseason a little bit, and also like we had our home opener canceled because of weather here. Like it's snowing, it's April, it's rainy, it's cold. Like why does baseball need to start this soon? Like start in May. Like start when it's like really, I don't know, more spring weather. And I understand like in some areas of the United States, like the weather's going to be fine. And every once in a while here we'll get a really nice day. But I just think baseball starts like a month too early. And that's
especially
why
in Cleveland though too is that opening day is like a holiday for people. They like people take time off of work, and it might as well be considered like a city holiday. So when that day gets postponed, especially it was like 2 hours before the first pitch when they decided to postpone it.
Right.
Once again, I'm not going to be that guy that's like going to start cursing the Dolans and that kind of thing. Like you got to do what you got to do, but at the same time, you also want the game to happen, so you kind of push it to the last minute to make that decision. But it's unfortunate because a lot of people really look forward to it. Probably other than maybe the first home game for the Browns, the Indians home opener, especially compared to the other home games. I mean, that's the game where you're hoping to get 30 plus thousand people in the seats. And
it's usually their sellout of the year for sure. Yeah.
Right. And then every other game after that drops 50%. You're lucky if you get 18,000 after that in any game.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and you're right. It is, and I imagine it's probably like that in a lot of areas, but it is a big deal here. Like opening day is a huge thing for Cleveland Indian fans, and it just sucks that it's still cold and the games can get canceled or postponed, or like it's just give us a month, Major League Baseball. Let's just start this thing in May. They're not going to listen to me, but I'm gonna do my best. They might, if enough of our PMPers out there, sign my petition if they're on board with me.
Let's cause a riot. Everyone tweet at MLB. Let's get this thing started.
You can tweet at us and MLB. Link us right in there, dude. I'll bite the bull. I'll lead this charge.
Hashtag no April baseball.
We need to come up with a better hashtag than that. Like, I want something more clever.
Well, unfortunately, just looking at the demographics of the people that listen to our podcast, a good probably 40% are from California, who probably do not share your sentiment whatsoever.
That's true. This guy's a Californian now.
I know. All of a sudden, this guy's Mr. California.
I know.
Well,
don't worry. I'm still equally as sad about the Indians.
So, let's talk about the major leagues. Let's talk about your teams in California there, Kyle. We'll hold off about talking about the Indians in general till the end, because that is the team that we know the best. I know I myself, and I think you guys will resonate my feelings here. I'm a hardcore football fan. I know the Browns, and I know everything about every other team. When it comes to baseball, I love playing it. I'm better at baseball than I am at basketball or football. But when it comes to knowing all the players on all the teams and knowing all that, I don't follow it nearly as much as I do football and even basketball to that degree. So this is definitely going to be a pseudo, as opposed to a nerd type podcast with our discussion. And with that said, Kyle, have you heard much of the feelings out there with your California teams? If there's a lot of hype, there's a lot of excitement.
Definitely around the Giants. The Giants, I think, are poised to definitely do something this year.
Well, the Giants win the World Series every other year for the last
they're excited because it's an even year,
right?
So
exactly.
Everyone's poised for a World Series just because history just says that they win it this year because of that. But no, they've looked really good. They beat the Dodgers today. Hunter Pence hit a grand slam, which is something he couldn't do on Fuller House for Stephanie. But
nice shout out to episode 9, Fuller House episode.
Right.
Haddix, you wouldn't know anything about
interested in listening to it, Haddix, if you ever get a chance to listen to it, let us know what you think.
I listened to it. I gotta admit, garbage. don't listen to
it. But no, they almost started out with a sweep, and then they came home, had their home opener, and almost got beat by the Dodgers. But thanks to that grand slam, they tacked on a few more afterwards. I think they won like 12-6 or 12-8 or something like that. But no, it was a good win. On the other side of that spectrum are the Oakland Athletics, who are probably, I believe the push, or I believe like the line is 75 wins for them, as far as what the analytics guys say that they see them winning. A lot of people now are starting to think that they would be happy with 75. So obviously 75 wins isn't going to get you a whole lot anywhere, especially getting into the playoffs.
It gets you a whole lot in the NBA.
Oh, absolutely. 75 wins is amazing. But in a season where 162 games is played, that's not gonna get the job done. They really don't. They have like the worst fielding in baseball. Their hitting is meh. Their pitching is probably the worst it's been in a few years. So, I mean, there's just nothing really great going. Also, when you trade away a guy who ends up being MVP for the Blue Jays, what are you going to do? I mean, they're going the route that the Browns are now going. They've been doing the whole analytics thing. They kind of made that popular with that Moneyball movie. And, I mean, for right now, it just seems like the Athletics and the Indians have one thing in common, though, is the moment that they're able to find good talent, it's almost like they're on borrowed time with how long they're going to be on that team before they just go somewhere else. So I hear a lot of fans talk about how it's kind of it's a bummer, because the moment that they start feeling like, oh, this guy, we're kind of building up this guy or bring this guy through the system, and now he's a perennial all-star, and the next thing you know, like they don't keep him.
Yeah, it's a shame, but that's how things go in baseball. It's a lot of money that gets passed around to the players, and if you don't have it, you gotta try a different route, and it doesn't always work out that way.
It's not like they don't have money. It's just that they, like I said, their little analytics thing thinks that they're not going to get the right kind of. It doesn't
fit the system. It doesn't fit the formula.
Well, even though the guy is a guy that can easily be your top player on any team, but yet it doesn't fit your system. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me, but whatever.
Haddix, how about you? What's you got any particular teams or storylines in the baseball season that you're kind of keeping an eye on?
No, not really.
All right, guys. Well, I guess that'll wrap the podcast up. So
yeah, talk to you guys next week on episode 15.
This guy...
No, like I was saying earlier, I mean, I really only watch the Indians if I'm watching baseball at all. So I mean, if it's not happening there, it's not happening anywhere for me. So
sounds like your love life.
Heyo.
Very true.
So for me, one of the biggest things I'm keeping an eye on, I'm pulling for the Cubs this year, to be honest. I really thought last year was going to be the magical season because Back to the Future predicted it, and they fell a little short. But you know, they made huge free agent signings. They got Jason Hayward, who was probably like the number one free agent available, signed him to a solid 8-year, $184 million contract. So gotta love baseball contracts. The dudes just get all kinds of money.
Well, that's guaranteed money too.
It's guaranteed money, exactly. I mean, it's nice work for them. Of course, they still have last year's Cy Young winner. They had last year's Rookie of the Year. Joe Madden's their coach. And Theo Epstein's just really built together a good team. So I really I think they could be even better than they were last year. And I think last year they had like 93 wins or something like that. So I'd love to see them do it. As you know, when it comes to the Cubs, you know, the over 100 years they've gone without winning a World Series. Like, they are the most single cursed franchise of all time. And as somebody from Cleveland, I love to see curses be broken. So I'm pulling for the Cubs, and I think they've got a good shot at it this year.
I would also like to see them win just because of the curse. And from everything that I, read online and all that, they'll easily win the NL Central. It'll just depend on how they do in the postseason. So
the Central is actually one of the toughest. NL Central.
The Central really is a tough conference, division.
The Cardinals always have a chance of winning that just because their tradition.
They're the Cardinals. The Cardinals are like the Spurs of Major League Baseball.
Yeah, they boringly get into the playoffs. They secretly get the best record in baseball, type of thing. I grew up a Cubs fan because of my father, and he was always into the Chicago sports teams. So, my first poster I ever had was a Ryan Sandberg poster. So I've always been a big fan of the Cubs. I'm rooting for them. They've always been my NL team. Obviously, the Indians are my top team. They also signed John Lester.
I'm surprised you're not a Giants fan now. All of a sudden, Mr. Bandwagon.
Nah, I have nobody to relate to or like to. Like I said, Barry Bonds has always been like the Giants player that I've always thought, or Jeff Kent maybe, but. Yeah, other than that, there's no one on that team that I give a shit about. So to me, it's always been like I was a Cubs fan because of Ryan Sandberg and Andre Dawson and guys like that when I was growing up, and then Indians obviously during the mid and late '90s, Tomey and Lofton and Bell and Vizquel and guys like that. But I definitely am pulling for the Cubs. On paper, they look like they're going to do well, but then again, on paper, they thought that the Royals were going to win 72 games or something like that last year, and they ended up winning the World Series. So you can't. Baseball's one of those funny things about predictions is that people who really think that their prediction holds any merit are they're delusional. That anything can happen. Yeah, there's the people that you expect to do well that will do well, but then there are the ones that you expect to just kind of have a whatever season, end up blowing up and winning the division and going on to win a World Series.
To some extent, predicting who's going to do what at the end of a season, especially as long as a baseball season is all kind of pointless. But I mean, last year, Sports Illustrated thought the Indians were going to potentially win the World Series, and we saw how that went personally. So,
did anyone here also get kind of angry with that coming out? Just because,
well, yeah, because
that's the last thing we want to see.
I hate that stuff. Yeah, we don't need that. As Clevelanders, like, we don't want to know that you guys think we're going to be successful, because we know that's just a jinx waiting to happen. It's like we are the Madden curse magnified 100 times.
Yeah, we don't need anybody. At the moment that anybody pays attention to us or expects us to do anything, we are the city of disappointment as far as sports goes. We're either
it's like me in the bedroom.
Damn. we're either bad because we're supposed to be bad, or we're bad because we were supposed to be good and didn't pull it off. So it's like we're damned either way.
We play better. We prefer. Not only, we just as Clevelanders prefer to be the underdog. Like, we want people to be like, oh, Cleveland sucks. We're like, screw you. We're going to show you guys how awesome we are. And we'll go out there and, like, if we do well, then, like, great. Like, we just proved you guys wrong. If we sucked, we're like, well, we thought we were going to suck. But if somebody says, like, you're going to be good, like, we don't handle that well at all. No, we are losers. No. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
We don't know what that feels like. So
we get paranoid. When anybody tells us that we have a good team, we're like, wait, what? And obviously we're kind of spoiled with the Cavs right now. But even with the Cavs, like, the expectation's already there that we're supposed to probably make the finals. Yeah, so if we don't do that, then it's a colossal failure according to the national scope.
Yeah, I agree. But I don't know where we got off that tangent there for a minute, because we're not talking about the Indians just yet.
Or how shitty Cleveland is.
or just,
because,
exactly.
You want to know what we started talking about? Because you asked the hardest question of the night, which was, hey, Haddix, what's your thoughts on baseball? And then we just took this rocky turn.
That's where that's my thoughts on baseball. There you go.
It didn't take a rocky turn. We were talking about the Indians, dude, not the Colorado Rockies.
Not the Rockies. Come on, Hougie. Get your head out of your ass.
So one other note, the Royals, of course, won the World Series last year. Almost won it the year before. Do you guys think they have a chance to return again this year? Do you think they have
I feel like
dynasty?
I feel like what they have going for them was last year everyone doubted them, said that they weren't going to be able to win. They won. And I feel like they're getting a little bit of that again this year. Like, oh, there's no way they're going to do it again. So, one of those like Cleveland syndromes where they're like, fuck it, let's fucking do it.
They're playing in a way that is not what I think what we're all been used to, where you have like the dominant pitching and like power hitting. They've always had a very steady starting lineup with a very good bullpen. And then you just got like just 9 hitters that I don't think any of them will probably eclipse 30 home runs.
You might get one or two of them that are flirting with that, but yeah.
They're not. But I wouldn't consider them power hitters. They're contact hitters that when they put a good swing on the ball are capable of hitting, but they don't hit for power. They hit for average. They hit for getting on base. They're the best team as far as getting on base and stealing bases, getting into scoring position. It's very fundamental. Once again, it's like to me, they're like the Spurs to me. Is they're playing based on what's the easiest way to get a couple of runs? Well, for some people, it's just get a bunch of, Barry Bonds-like type of players and just swing for the fences. Whereas guys like them, it's like, work the counts, get to first base, either with a walk or a single, steal second base, get a, ground out, get the guy to third, and then sacrifice him back home. Like, that's how they play. They play very intelligently. Not to mention they have great defense. They're just overall probably the most balanced team. And because the guys stay, that this is the same team from 2 years ago, is the same team as last year. It's the same team this year. So every year people say that they're going to win somewhere between 70 and 75 games, and they just they exceed the expectations. So and once again this year the same way, people are saying they're not going to do what they did last year or the year before, but you have the same people. So what makes you think that? And everything's gluing. Yost is a genius with those guys. So to me, it doesn't make sense for people to already doubt them when it's clear 2 straight years in a row with really no change in personnel. It doesn't make sense for people to think that they're not capable of doing it again.
Well, I will agree for most of that, but they did lose Johnny Cueto. He went over to the Giants, actually. Was one of their starting pitchers, but to your point, pitching is always their starting pitching is kind of not their strong suit per se. It's just good enough. Their bullpen is kind of where they flex their muscles a little bit more. And then they lost Ben Zobrist, who's sort of a utility guy there, and kind of 34 years old, so sort of getting up there. Wasn't part of the key player, but not. I shouldn't say not a key player, but definitely a solid role player for them. So they lost some bigger free agent names, but to your point, it wasn't. They didn't lose the drastic part of their line. Alex Gordon re-signed with them, which was probably the biggest thing they needed to kind of solidify that lineup. So I just want to make sure it's pointed out that they did lose a couple bigger names, but not major names, if that makes sense.
No major league names?
I would think that I'm just going to ignore Haddix.
That's what you have to do.
I still feel like the American League Central is coming around. It used to be a shit show. It used to be like one team goes over 500 and everybody else is like cellar dwellers for the rest of the American League. I think that practically all of them, maybe not the White Sox, but I think the rest of the teams actually have a prayer to break 500. Like I said, the White Sox have already won. They're actually 3-1, but then again, they played the Athletics, who are not. I don't think they're going to do very well.
Who are very unathletic.
No, they are. They are not at all, sir. But I'm looking forward to the race in the Central. I think that's going to be very interesting, just because people are doubting the Royals, and then people are kind of skeptical of the Indians. But I think the Indians have got the most potential to win it.
Oh, I thought there was going to be more to you on that end, so I was waiting for you.
Well, you weren't going to get it from Haddix, so.
I thought you were going to say something about the Tigers or something.
Too. Yeah, so did I. I thought you were going to go on about the whole division.
No. I was saving that up for, once again, we were going to talk about the Indians at some point.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, there's still the Twins and the Tigers, so I thought you were going through the list, so I just was sitting there.
No, I'm not going to. You really want me to go through every team in the American League and just go right down the list?
No, just because you were talking about the Central. I figured you were going to talk about the rest of the Central. That was my bad.
I really look at it as the Royals and the Indians, but like I said, I didn't want to go through everybody, but the only team I think I'll rule out is the White Sox. I think the rest of them have the tools in place and the personnel and the coaching and everything like that to get there. I don't think the White Sox do.
Well, there you have it.
And I'm done with my thought.
Thanks for pointing that out for us this time.
That's what's tough about doing a podcast in 3 remote locations. I feel like we have to say over or just something just to acknowledge that we're done so we don't have these awkward pauses.
But nothing is better than awkward pauses, because then people, even our listeners, are like, did the download stop? Did I hit pause by accident? Am I getting a phone call? What's going on? Oh, nope. They're just not talking. Then they're back.
Oh, no, this is just a shitty podcast. Oh.
These are deliberately inserted to make sure that you guys are paying attention.
We're doing whatever we can to stretch the time out, so we just leave awkward pauses in there. It's all right, guys, 10-second break, and we're back. So let's just talk about the Indians at this point. I don't know where we even start with the Indians. They got,
I want
Chris,
to let me throw this out to start real quick. Just to tie into another storyline of the year. With David Ortiz's final season.
Right, yep.
In Indian fashion, we allow him to get his 5th opening day home run in the 9th inning in our home opener. Like, good job, Indians. I just wanted to throw that out there.
That's just typical. I think we gave up a home run to him the following day too, didn't we?
We might have. I was like looking up some David Ortiz stats, and I mean, don't get me wrong, great hitter and all that. But that one just like made me laugh when I saw that. I was like, you got to be kidding me.
So anyways, the Tribe. I don't even know where to start with them. We got a new GM in the offseason, Chris Antonetti. He took over because Pyro went over to Toronto, who actually I think has a very good team, but that's another topic for another time. We signed our typical Indians fashion. Signed a couple cheap deals to guys who are late in their careers, where we're trying to basically these cost-effective deals where we're hoping that the guys are Mike Napoli and Rajai Davis. I think we're hoping that one of them turns out to be some re-emergence. They've had success in their past. Like this is going to be lightning in a bottle kind of thing, and it never seems to work out. Like I swear we do the same shit all the time.
Yeah, it never works out. It works out for other teams. You know what I mean? Or it has worked out for other teams. But yeah, I feel like the Indians never hit.
That's our problem. We can't hit.
We never seem to sign like a guaranteed all-star. Like when we grabbed Michael Bourne and Nick Swisher, where those were like our big splash signings. Michael Bourne was coming off of either the year before as being an all-star, and overall being a good player. But Nick Swisher was always like the weird one for me when we got him, just because, yeah, he won a World Series. I don't know how much of that was to his contribution, but he had probably a couple decent years. But I feel like we gave him too much money, and the only thing he really provided was, hey, I'm the hometown guy. I'm from
Mr.
Ohio
State.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's you're right. We either sign guys like that, or we develop very good talent that we can't hold on to, and so we end up just staying in this mediocrity. So that's the reason why they do that, though. They sign those lightning in the bottle guys because they know they can't hold on to them for a long contract in this mid market that is Cleveland for baseball, and with the rules for the salary cap and stuff, it really comes down to money. You got to be in a big market. So you have to be able to either get your AAA guys, your development guys to really come out and do well, and hopefully keep them, or you hopefully can get a couple of really good players that'll stay for 2 years, and you kind of just have everything work out all at the same time.
Yeah, like the stars just align for that particular season or something.
Right, so like kind of like what was it, 2006, 7? What was the year that we?
2007.
2007.
Yeah, 2007. Like a lot of those players that were really good were, I think, were basically Indians players for the most part. Like that it was one of those like, yeah, sooner or later we're not going to be able to hold on to these guys, so we need to take advantage. I mean, think of it. At one point, we had 2 Cy Young winners on our team at the same time, and we lost both of them because you can't hold on to those kind of guys. And we got Michael Brantley out of it, which is great, but it's
I mean, then it comes to a matter of trying to get these trades done so you can get these farm like system guys that you hope will be the next great ones or something. And unfortunately, it's very tough for these teams with small salaries to compete. But that said, it's been done. Some of these teams that are winning, that are successful, are doing it without a lot of money. So it can be done. I just think the Indians are a combination of unlucky, and the contracts and the people they pick aren't the ones that turn out to do anything.
Well, that's why they have to keep a guy like Francona, because Francona is going to be the guy that's going to get people to come here. When we first signed him, he was one of the big reasons why we were able to get some players, because they liked playing with him. And if I know that if Tito was not our manager, I'm not saying that he's the reason for our success, but I definitely think that he's the reason that we have probably as good of a well-rounded personnel as far as a roster. There's not a lot of holes on the Indians team overall. Nothing glaring. Yeah, you always are going to have a couple of,
other than
links.
A power right-handed bat, but
we haven't had that, I think, in 10 years. But I'm looking forward to this season for the Indians. I think a lot of people expect them to make a good run for the Central Division. I think that's where that ends. I don't think a lot of people expect them to go crazy, but I do think that it rides on being healthy. That's always been what's killed us, is that we it's either no one stays healthy or the people that we really needed to do well just don't. Like Carlos Santana has always been a guy that either, is clutch, or he never seems to put up a really big year, but he's always clutch when you need him type of player. And then the years when he's not clutch, he still has a bad year. So I'm glad that we have him for a long time, that we signed him to a pretty decent deal. But I don't know. I guess the whole point of the DH. I totally going away from this. Like, is he the right guy to be our DH at this point?
In theory, he is. But
I think it's better than him being our first baseman because he was a horrible fielder, Prince fielder.
This guy just making his own jokes over here.
That was the one good thing about Mike Napoli coming. Mike's going to take over first base, and Santana's going to be DH. I think it's better than him being first base. He made all kinds of errors last year.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, but I don't think he's the ideal. When you compare him to other DHs around the American League,
yeah, that's true.
It's not ideal, but it's better than anything else we've got at this point.
So who's your breakout player this year for the Indians as far as having a good year overall?
I mean,
who's your all-star? Every year
I think Lindor is gonna do it this year.
Who?
Lindor.
Yeah,
I think you saw enough of him last year towards the end. Just what success he had, that a full season behind him could be.
I think if he stays healthy, I think Yan Gomes can do it too.
I mean, that's the key, and we need Michael Brantley to come back.
I was going to say, I think for us to do anything, this year or be anything this year, Michael Brantley needs to be that all-star for us when he comes back. Which who knows if he's going to be able to? And
who knows when he's going to come back? I mean, they say 5 to 6 months. He's now hanging out with the AAA team, but he's not.
They said he played some spring games, didn't he?
No, I think only just recently he was allowed to start hitting in the cages.
Yeah, but
or it could be another Grady Sizemore thing where he hurts himself and they say, "Oh, he'll be back in 2 months," and then after 2 years he never plays.
And all you do is you see naked photos of himself and naked selfies come out across the internet, right?
And that's all you're seeing, I guess. I don't remember seeing that, but
you never saw Grady Sizemore naked with a coffee mug covering his little Sizemore.
I can't say that I didn't hear about it. I wasn't exactly Googling it to find it.
You were ogling it.
I was oogling it.
There you go. Oogling, not ogling.
That's the word. Whatever.
He's no Zack Ryder.
Oh, sure.
So, I guess before we finish our Indians section, is there any other topics with the Tribe that you guys want to bring up? I mean, obviously, the starting rotation is going to be key for them. If Carrasco and Kluber and Salazar can kind of be they're glimpse of dominant, but much more consistent and long term this year. That's going to be really where it all starts, because we're not going to win this. We're not going to win the Central. We're not going to win games from our bats. It's just not going to happen. A game here and there, sure, but it's going to come down to our starting pitching. And do you guys have faith that they're going to do that?
I mean, I feel like the jaded Cleveland fan never has faith that we're going to be able to do anything. So I don't know. I don't know.
So Haddix is going to go on record.
I've been writing down Haddix quotes today. This is a good week for you. I will say this though before I ask a question that's sort of Indians related. It's nice to know that Trevor Bauer couldn't make the starting lineup or the starting rotation, because he was supposed to be kind of like a diamond in the rough with us. He's now in the bullpen, so that's telling me that it was competitive enough that he couldn't get into the whatever they have there, the five-man rotation. So that's actually, I think that's a good thing that he kind of lost his position as a starter. And so now, in order for him to get some time, he's going to be, pitching out of the bullpen. But one thing I wanted to ask you guys before, I think we're kind of getting close to getting to that wall there.
We're at the warning track.
What are you guys' thoughts on Chief Wahoo? And I know that's every year it's Chief Wahoo and attendance. It's always been like the three Indians topics every year. It's beaten to death. But I feel like more than ever now, it's become a topic because it visibly is making its way out. Like, you always have the same people that are going to protest. I personally, I could care less. I couldn't care less. Let's put it that way about Chief Wahoo. Chief Wahoo to me is not a part of the reason why I love the Indians. So I'm definitely okay that it's going. If it offends that many people, I'm kind of the same way with the Redskins, where, the Redskins, I guess, is a little different because Redskins is actually, for a lot of people, is a derogatory term. And I guess some people might even say the Indians are, but I definitely see the caricature of a Native American with the big ass smile and everything like that, and the feather on his head, as being kind of outdated and probably needs to go.
I'm sorry. Can I start out by saying Hougie asked us what we think and then proceeds to answer the question and talk for the next 2 minutes?
Well, I'm not going to say anything more about it. I was going to ask you guys my opinion and then give it to you.
I agree with you. To me personally, I'm not going to watch any less games by them changing a name. If it does offend that many people, have at it. I only get concerned. There's a group of people out there who complain about things just to complain about things. So as soon as that's changed, there'll be something else to complain about. So from that standpoint, it kind of annoys me. But I mean, if there's legitimate people out there who are, bothered by it, then yeah, the change. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I agree, and I think we're all basically saying the same thing. It's like obviously we're not offended by it, but if it's legitimately offending people out there, like, we don't care if it's changed. And I think the people that are bothered by it getting changed are the same people that are stuck in the 1940s, 1950s with the Cleveland. Cleveland has this rich history of sports. Yes, we do, and I appreciate it. But, like, we need to modernize ourselves a little bit. We need to not live in the past all the time. I get it. That's the only time we've won championships. Yeah, whatever. But you know what? Like, we need to embrace the future. And if the future is without Chief Wahoo, like, so be it.
I mean, there's been plenty of teams that have changed their team name or changed stuff because they felt like it was appropriate. We used to have the Washington Bullets, and I think after a while people just felt like that said the wrong thing, especially because that's in DC, and DC has actually been kind of known as being kind of a rough city for crime. So, like, being a part of a city with the team named the Bullets, I can see why that change was made. I think especially during a time where I think it was already the Wizards, but that was like during that time of what was
Gilbert Arenas and all his stuff. Yeah, so, it was that.
So he was trying to bring back the Washington Bullets. But yeah, you're right. It's not modernized anymore. It's nobody loses with getting rid of Chief Wahoo. Obviously, I still have a Chief Wahoo hat from years ago. I've got a couple shirts which I'll still wear because that's my as of right now.
Yeah, sure, it's nostalgia.
That's my attire
it's
that
cool.
I have for Indians. I don't have anything else. But I'm not. But it's like I'm not going to purposely not wear it because I want to make a statement that I'm offended and I don't wear the shirt for Chief Wahoo. I wear it because I'm supporting the Indians. But at the same time, if moving forward they don't put Chief Wahoo on anything, I think in the end it only benefits to do
Right.
that.
Well, all right. In the end, since we're kind of getting near the end of our podcast here, predictions, guys. Indians record, Haddix.
As far as the actual number, doesn't matter to me. But I do think the best they do will be in chase for the wild card. I don't think they win the division.
Hougie.
I think they'll go over 80 for sure. I'm pretty confident they'll go over 80 wins. I'm kind of with Haddix though. The Royals are just too much of a well-oiled machine to not take it. But I don't count them out. But I'll definitely give them more than 80 wins.
I'm actually going to have them just below 80. I got them at 78 wins. I don't even think we sniff the wild card. But hopefully I'm wrong.
The one thing is, I just want meaningful games in September. That's all I want.
That would be nice. But we need to have meaningful games here in April, and we need to have games in April. So let's hope that weather warms up. Haddix, or Hougie, you first. World Series picks.
World Series picks, I say I think the Giants pull it off over the Cubs to go from the National League. In the American League, don't sleep on the Orioles. I think they've got the best bats in the league, and I think if their pitching can come around, I actually think that there'll be Giants versus Orioles, and then I see Giants actually winning it.
It's a very orange and black World Series for the Halloween season. So that was nice, Hougie. Haddix, how about you?
I also am going Giants, and I'm going Blue Jays from the American League, and I'm also taking the Giants to win the World Series.
Man, look at you guys just picking all those San Francisco. You guys are a bunch of fucking bandwagoners over here.
Well, Hoagie's a bandwagoner.
It's true. As for me, I am picking the Blue Jays as well out of the American League. I think they have the bats to take care of business, and I'm taking the Cubs in the National League more so out of heart than anything else, and because I just want to see the curse be broken. Let's see them Cubs win the World Series this year.
You heard it here, folks. 1 year later. 1 year late, though, from the original prediction via Back to the Future.
That's right. So next, how about you guys give us your, World Series picks, all that. Reach out to us on Twitter, on Facebook. Leave us some comments. Leave us some feedback. Tell us who you think who's going to win it all. Who's not going to go anywhere, or what your Indians predictions are, what you love about baseball, all that. And next week, we're gonna get a little nerdy again, and we're gonna finally give our take on the critically bashed and acclaimed Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. So it should be a good one.
Shit's gonna get real.
Real. Mad real.
From the home of Slider to the home of Lou Seal, I am Kiser. He is Haddix, and he is Hougie, and we will see you guys next week.
Have a good Friday.
See you later.